All right, let's get right into it. Something really big is happening in the world of web development, and it's all revolving around this framework called Astro. And with their latest release, which is backed by a huge acquisition, they're not just creating a new tool. No, they're building an entirely new vision for what the web can be. Let's break down what's really going on. First things first, just look at these numbers, because honestly, they're kind of shocking. When we look at real-world sites passing Google's core web vitals, the key metrics for how fast and responsive a site feels, Astro is just blowing everyone away. 66% of Astro sites pass. That is more than double the rate of Next.js, which is one of the most popular frameworks on the planet. This isn't just a little bit better, this is a whole different ballgame. And seeing a performance gap that massive immediately brings up the big question, right? What on earth is Astro, and how did it get so incredibly fast? Why are some of the smartest people in the industry calling this the blueprint for the 2026 stack? Basically, the foundation for the next generation of the web. Well, that's exactly what we're going to unpack here. So to really get Astro, you first have to understand this bigger trend that's happening. For years, the web got bogged down with these super heavy, complex apps that did everything in your browser, which is why so many sites felt slow and clunky. But now, that pendulum is swinging back, and it's swinging back hard towards a server-first world where speed is the default. And this slide right here, this is Astro's secret weapon. It's called the Islands architecture. And the idea is actually pretty simple, but it is so powerful. Think of it this way. You wouldn't wire your entire house for electricity just to turn on one lamp, right? Well, Astro treats your website the same way. It only sends that interactive JavaScript, the electricity, to the specific islands on the page that actually need it, like a little search bar or a buy now button. Everything else, it's just blazing fast, simple HTML. But here's the thing. Astro isn't just about making sites fast for users. It's also about fixing some of the deepest, most frustrating problems that developers deal with every single day. And this gets us to the heart of what it's like to build for the web right now. Oh man, this phrase. If you've ever worked anywhere near tech, you've heard this, you've probably screamed it, and you have definitely felt the pain. It is the single most soul-crushing moment in all of software development. When your app works perfectly on your own computer, but the second you launch it for real, it just completely falls apart. And that's just the beginning. Developers are always battling these sneaky bugs that only show up on the live server. They're trying to patch up privacy leaks from third-party services like Google Fonts, and if they're working on a huge e-commerce site, they're fighting these epic performance battles and dealing with their builds crashing because they run out of memory. These aren't minor annoyances. These are the day-to-day nightmares Astro 6.0 is designed to just end. Okay, so we've laid out the problems, now let's talk about the solutions. Because Astro 6.0, it's not just another update. It's a collection of really clever, game-changing features, each one engineered to fix one of those specific headaches we just talked about. So let's start with that classic, infuriating works in dev problem. The reason this happens is that historically, the server running on your laptop was just a simulation of the real thing. It was close, but it wasn't identical. And in that tiny little gap between close and identical is where all the worst bugs love to hide. And this is the fix. It's absolutely brilliant. With Astro 6.0, your local machine is now running Workerd. That is the literal open source C++ engine that powers Cloudflare's entire global network. So there's no more simulation. Your dev environment and your production environment have perfect one-to-one parity. An entire category of bugs, poof, gone. Okay, next up. We know Astro is incredible for static sites that are built ahead of time. But what about when you need data that's live, right now? Like showing the current inventory in an online store or real-time stock prices. Static, pre-built data just isn't going to cut it. The solution for this is a feature called Live Content Collections. It basically lets you pull in fresh data at the very moment a user visits the page. But here's the genius part. You get all the speed and flexibility of live data, but with the same strict type safety and amazing developer experience that made people fall in love with Astro in the first place. It's the best of both worlds. And you can see how they do it just by looking at this little piece of code. See how when you ask for the data, the entry, it also gives you a potential error? That's on purpose. The system literally forces the developer to think about what happens if the network fails. It's a small thing, but it leads to way more robust and reliable websites. All right, here's a sneaky one that affects almost every site out there, web fonts. When your site pulls in a font from, say, Google Fonts, two bad things happen. First, you're leaking your user's IP address to a third party, which is a privacy issue. And second, you get that super annoying layout shift where the whole page kind of jumps around while it waits for the font to load. Astro's fix for this is it's so elegant. The new native fonts API just automatically downloads those fonts when you build your site and serves them from your own server. So in one simple step, you've patched the privacy leak and you've completely eliminated the layout shift. It's a massive win-win. Now, what if you're building a truly giant site? I'm talking hundreds of thousands of pages. The old way of doing this, called recursive rendering, was a total memory hog. It could easily crash your build process. Astro 6.0 introduces a new engine called queued rendering. Instead of trying to do everything at once, it processes pages one by one, making it incredibly efficient and stable even at a massive enterprise scale. So all of these technical upgrades are fantastic on their own, but they're happening at the same time as an even bigger change in the industry. And this is the moment where Astro goes from being a really popular tool to being a core piece of how the internet itself is built. The news landed like a bombshell. Astro has been acquired by Cloudflare, one of the absolute titans of internet infrastructure. And you gotta understand, this isn't just a payday. This is a deep strategic alignment between a best-in-class framework and a best-in-class global network. So what does this actually mean for you? Well, for one, you can expect some really deep, seamless integrations between Astro and Cloudflare's network. And crucially, they've promised to keep Astro 100% open source. The entire original engineering team has moved over, so the vision is secure. And they're putting major financial muscle behind the open source community, which is just fantastic news for everyone. And all of this, all these technical solutions and this huge acquisition, it all comes together to form a brand new idea, a new blueprint for building modern, scalable websites. And they're calling it the 2026 stack. So let's just quickly walk through this stack. You've got Astro as your framework. Use Cloudflare Pages to deploy it instantly around the world. You use Cloudflare D1 as your super fast database that lives at the edge, close to your users. And you use R2 for cheap, fast storage. Every single piece is designed to fit perfectly with the others, all running on one unified network. So here's the bottom line. If you only remember one thing, it's this. The 2026 stack gives you the kind of power and scalability that huge companies demand, but it completely gets rid of all the complexity. You don't have to manage these nightmarish Kubernetes clusters or deal with slow traditional databases anymore. It's a radical simplification. And you don't have to just take my word for it. The developer community is voting with their keyboards. Over 47,000 stars on GitHub. This is not a niche little tool anymore. This is a full-blown movement, and it's picking up speed every single day. Which really brings us to the final thought. Astro and Cloudflare, they aren't just shipping features. They are aggressively building their vision for what the web is going to look and feel like in 2026. Faster, safer, and dramatically simpler to build for everyone. So the only question left is your team ready for it?